Hello, everyone. It's Serenity, Infinite Light. So, what I wanted to speak about today is basically, once again, just having ones really think about previous beliefs and concepts because, once again, I'm here to make you think as far as source and that concept of God and who God truly is and how source feels about certain matters. Not what this world wants you to believe. So, yeah, that's what today's video is about. I have not stopped making videos. It's just that um recently there's been a lot going on and it makes it very difficult for me to make videos like I was when I was back in New York. So, that's why the videos are sporadic and not as many as you've been seeing in the past. But hopefully, I want to say by September, things will be more normal for me. Yeah. But yeah, basically what I wanted to talk about is this idea of sacrifice and these gods and lords requiring sacrifices of various means. Now, I already said this whole principle of a God who is truly loving, giving their own child as a sacrifice, no matter how you gift wrap it, at the end of the day, it is not loving to put to death your own child for any reason. Period. Now, this goes for Isaac as well. Many are like, oh, well, it's different because Abraham was showing how much faith he had in God. What Abraham needed to do was question how a loving God would even require such a sacrifice of him. That is just cruel. It is cruel to put anyone through that. That's what that is. Any God or entity that wants you to sacrifice, especially life, which is so precious to source. Some basically a being that emanates and exists and is present in that energy of love at all times. To require such a thing, you just from common sense have to realize that that is not coming from the true originator of all life or the creator of all. However, you want to call source, as I call source mother, it's not that sometimes you have to make sacrifices. Even once again, Yeshua Jesus had alluded to this. There will be sacrifices, but you should not have to be asked by a higher power. And I'm not even going to say supernatural powers because that's not exactly it either. There are highly intelligent beings that can communicate with humans now. It's not supernatural. It's, you know, it's different, but it's not something that's just out of this world and shouldn't happen. But anyway, let me not get off topic. Basically, no God who is truly a God of love would want you to kill a life to satisfy their own ego requirements. That is one guiding principle. If there is a God that you worship that requires you to physically or literally, I should say, if they want you to literally or figuratively sacrifice a loved one, that is not coming from the true creator. It's not. So once again, all of these, lords that like, I want your firstborn. You sacrifice them to me. Um, Go slaughter your son on an altar and burn them as a sacrifice to me. That is demonic. It originates with these malevolent forces, not benevolent. And it is not, well, once again, free will. If that's the type of God you want to worship, so be it. But once again, don't expect good fruits to come from something that is a bad tree. You can't say, oh, I didn't know, because you willingly decided to worship these different entities and energies that are the opposite of love. Now, as I said, there are certain things that even Jesus had said you would probably have to give up when you try to follow him. And it's not him as this being, but his principles, his lessons, that being that of source, which is love. Once you start to comprehend love and all these things in this world, you will be hated. Jesus also said that. So the things that this world basically throws at you is the desire for material things, the desire for prominence, to be elevated above other beings. Now, this actually stems from the very ones who rebelled in the first place. That feeling that they wanted to be superior to everyone else. They wanted to dominate, control, rule. And it's hard to believe that Source would not want this. But once you understand the relationship between all life and Source, you would understand why Source would not want anyone to be a slave, so to speak. Now, as I said, it is why Jesus had mentioned certain sacrifices, not being blood sacrifices, burnt offerings, this, that, and the other thing, but basically, you would have to be willing to give up almost everything, really, that you've previously known as your previous life, sometimes in order to follow him or that principle of love. That's also why he made the illustration of the camel and the needle, the eye of the needle, because material things are one of the greatest blockages to one really tapping in to true spirituality, because they're putting all of their trust and their faith in material things and riches. Now, Jesus would not be saying these things once again if he was not willing to go through and do it himself. Once again, he was an example. So, being the example, it's not like he was teaching and telling others to do something that he himself would not be willing to do. If he was telling ones, yes, it's going to be necessary to give up all of these things that maybe you hold in high esteem right now, that is your life, in order to follow me, obviously he would be willing to do the same. It's actually why he said himself in Matthew chapter 8 and verse 20. This is my little Bible because right now most of the things that I was able to take from my old home is in storage, and that includes my books, my Bibles, all of that. So this is just kind of a temporary one for now. But the letters are so small. But yeah, in Matthew chapter 8 and verse 20, he mentioned, and Jesus saith unto him, this is the King James Version, obviously, the foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. So, yes, there were times where even Yeshua or Jesus did not know where he was going to sleep for the night. That was part of being him. When you reject this world, this system, you will be hated, and there are energies that will come up against you in order to make life difficult. This is what he was saying. So once again, it wasn't like he did not understand. He was willing to do it himself to be an example for others. Now, I say this because many who have come out of religion still have this mentality, this worship mentality that they have to worship and go through, death and all of these things to be acceptable to quote unquote God. That's not necessary because the true source of life created life to be enjoyable. When you live in fear, constant fear of being judged and rejected by a God because of what you do or don't do, that's not living in a way that Source wanted you to. And that's why I do these videos. It's so important for you to break free of having this fear of being judged by really energies that can't judge you in the beginning. Just like these ones here on earth now, the only thing they can do is bully you into submission. But once you're mentally free and you understand the game, basically, you can break free and take back your own free will instead of giving it to others. And this is very important. It's very important for you to understand that you are in control of your life. You do not need to worship a higher being. And I keep saying this. Jesus is an example, not someone that you should be worshiping and bowing to and all this other stuff. The thing about worship versus respect is it's different. Respect is someone has proven based on their actions that they deserve that from you. They've proven it. It's not automatically there. And it's not something that you should give someone because they scare you, threaten you, bully you into giving them respect. That is not Source. And I know many feel like, well, why does Source allow this and this and that? Things aren't what they seem. It's not that simple. um, yeah, the vast majority of humanity is, not pure. They're hybridized now. And this was not Source's will, but you kind of have to sometimes go along with things that was not your intentions or purpose for the greater good, you know? I mean, I'll be making more videos on this. I don't want to get too far off topic, but my thing is just to remind you that if it is not a concept, a worship ideal, doctrines, teachings, if they do not promote love, peace, unity, that is not coming from Source. Source needs nothing from anyone at all. What Source likes is to see all of its creations happy and thriving. That's what Source wants. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say for today. Sometimes the journey to actually be free is not easy because you will be objects of attack by these energies who do not want you to wake up. They want you to stay sleeping or blinded with these figurative scales over your eyes so you won't ever see the truth and you won't ever be free and you will continue to be slaves. This is why Watchtower, because of the energy that's behind that cult, wants people to not see the bigger picture. They want ultimate control. Don't look at this. We have everything you need. We've done the research for you. So don't go outside of what we provide for you to research. Wake up. Because the things that Jehovah's Witnesses see that the governing body is trying to damage control, 95% of it is true. It's accurate. But they tell you all these things to keep your mind enslaved in their cults. It's not worth it. Break free. That's what Source wants for all life. So yeah, that's it. Once again, I love you all so very much. And I truly do want you to live in peace. That's why I always say, peace be with you. I offer you my peace because when you have that true peace that only comes from truth, there is nothing that can go on around you that will disturb that peace. Okay, take care, everyone. I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye-bye.